the other side, the arrests in the NewsClick case have stirred a hornet's nest yet again. The ecosystem has slammed the action by the police as an attack on freedom of speech. The fact that the charges have been slapped under the stringent UAPA law has specially drawn the ire of many, which is why it's significant that today Times Now has accessed the FIR filed by the Delhi Police Special Cell, and it details how funds allegedly were illegally infused from abroad to promote anti-India activities. It names Prabir Purkayastha, the founder of NewsClick, Gautam Navlakha and Neville Roy Singham as the main accused, and traces their links with Ghulam Nabi Fai, an alleged ISI agent. But it is what they are accused of that begs the attention. The FIR spells out in black and white that alleged collusion was not just for doing the bidding for China, but also to disrupt India's sovereignty. Here is how. Maps that did not show Jammu and Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh as part of India were circulated. Funds were provided to banned Naxal organizations, and disruptions to create unrest were also promoted, like the anti-farmers law protest. However, politics over the issue refuses to die down, with those who call themselves flag bearers of freedom of speech opposing the crackdown, calling it a bid to muzzle the media freedom. Well, on that debate, coming up is Dr. Sanjay Jha taking on Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi. Sanjay Jha, the FIR that I hold in my hand has clearly pointed out the sections, and it talks about the fact that Indians altering, nobody can control the Chinese, but Indians altering the map of India to affect parts of Jammu and Kashmir and parts of Arunachal Pradesh is actually a question of challenging the sovereignty of India. When these charges are applied, why do people link it to freedom of speech? Does freedom of speech allow us to alter the map of India?
Navika, I'm not aware of the details of the FIR. Let the investigation happen. The government has every right to do what it wants to do. Eventually, thankfully, we do have a Supreme Court of India. But there is one fact that Mr. Trivedi, my good friend Sudhanshu ji, cannot deny. Why is India's ranking at 161 out of 180 countries on the World Press Freedom Index? I mean, these are indexes that talk about civil society. Everybody is aware of how it's not just the opposition parties. You saw what the Supreme Court had to say yesterday on the Manish Sisodia case. The Supreme Court actually said yesterday to the ED, do you have any evidence? Because this case is going to fall flat in 2 minutes. And Mr. Sisodia, right or wrong, has been in jail for the last 8 months. This is the credibility of Mr. Modi's government. Mr. Modi's government, I can tell you, Navika, I think everybody knows it, is hardly a secret, is authoritarian, is dictatorial, is autocratic.
No. Let me ask you this. This is what the FIR says. The FIR says, and I read and quote from here, Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh are being shown as disputed territories because there is email exchange that exposes their intent to show Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh as not part of India. Such attempt by these persons reveal their conspiracy to peddle a narrative both globally and domestically that these two states are not part of India and they are disputed territories. Their attempts to tinker with the northern borders of India and to show Kashmir and Arunachal Pradesh as not parts of India in maps amount to an act intended towards undermining the unity and the territorial integrity of India. Now take a position on this. Because you may quote the Supreme Court judge yesterday, but he still hasn't given bail. And Mr. Manish Sisodia has been in jail for 8 months running now. But where do you stand on the fact that India's territory is being changed? Is that media freedom? Is that media responsibility and accountability? Why did you not speak? I mean, you did, but why did the Congress party allow a boycott of G24? What happened to press G14? What happened to press freedom then?
Well, Navika, here are 2 short points. I'm firstly fascinated that Mr. Trivedi's party, which actually mocks the New York Times every day, is now treating the New York Times as a holy grail. Wah wah. Hypocrisy ka bhi koi seema hota hai. Congratulations, badai ho. Second point, very critical here. This is about let them investigate anybody they want. But I'll give you two examples. Dainik Bhaskar did an expose on COVID-19 and dead bodies near the Ganga River. We all know what happened to Dainik Bhaskar. Everybody knows when Outlook did a cover story saying missing in action about Mr. Modi's government during the second COVID wave, the poor editor Rupan Banerjee had to resign. We all know the way they treat press. For them, press freedom.
And the India Alliance treats us very, very well. It labels anybody they want as hate mongers, but that is all right. That is fine. That is kosher.
You know, my personal view has always been that no matter what the press hostility towards a party, in a democracy, we should welcome it and find a purpose.
But it doesn't, those rules don't apply to the leader that you really appreciate so much, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, or the others, 30 parties or whatever you have in the India Alliance. It doesn't apply to them. But Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, please respond.
At least my leaders don't call the media prostitute, thankfully.
So that's why Sanjay Jha ji, when this Times Now channel has done a story on the Sheesh Mahal of Arvind Kejriwal, for which a clear-cut substantive evidence is available, their journalist was arrested. And it was a secular freedom of speech. There are two types of speeches, freedom of speech. One is a secular freedom of speech, another is you can say the so-called criminal freedom of speech. Another I would like to say, though I respect Sanjay Jha ji as an intellectual, but sir, what you have done, you are supporting Manish Sisodia. You, in this debate, you like to be called as suspended Congress leader, but what sir, you are intended Congress leader. Congress party has taken an official stand against the liquor scam, and you are defending the Manish Sisodia, and you are trying to say that Manish Sisodia is innocent. Now, coming to the other thing, on the issue of New York Times, that's what I was trying to say, but aapne mere muh ki baat chhin li. We have quoted New York Times, whom you consider as gospel truth. It has always written against BJP since last 30 years. But you consider as gospel truth, and it was not just a story. They said that the American intelligence has found a route that they termed as Shanghai to Chicago, and from there, not only to India, for Brazil, Argentina, and other European countries, China is trying to manage their narrative. And in this connection, the name of NewsClick has come. And the issue of press freedom index, sir, you have quoted very well. India was termed 161 out of 181. But sir, do you remember that China was 30 points ahead of us? 30 points above India. जहां पर डिफेंस मिनिस्टर गायब, कोई न्यूज नहीं. जहां पर सबसे बड़ी कंपनी अलीबाबा का मालिक जैक मा गायब, कोई न्यूज नहीं. फॉरेन मिनिस्टर गायब, कोई न्यूज नहीं. सेकेंड मोस्ट पावरफुल जनरल ऑफ द आर्मी गायब, कोई न्यूज नहीं. सर, इफ एनीबडी सेज दैट चाइना इज हैविंग 30 points ahead of us in press freedom index, and even Afghanistan is ahead of us in freedom index, sir, I think those who have made this ranking are considered to be doing a heinous work for journalism, and much heinous work those who are doing, those who are trying to portray it as a gospel.
If Taliban is ahead of India in press freedom and so is China, then we really need to worry about those surveys when we quote them. In the meanwhile, territorial integrity of India is not something that can be determined by freedom of speech and creativity. It is what it is, and actually describes the sovereignty of a country of 140 crore people. On this, there cannot be an ambiguous stand, at least with the people of India. We leave it at that as investigations continue. For now, thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining me on the News Hour, and thank you, viewers, for being with me. Good night, be safe, and have a safe weekend.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break.